When I received the photo, I was still reeling from the fact that I had been reborn. The ding of my phone pulled me back to reality. I unlocked my phone, and a striking photo of a kiss appeared before my eyes. In the photo, under a soft, glowing halo, a girl stood on tiptoe and gently kissed the corner of a man's mouth. The man bowed his head, one hand steadying the girl's waist, his tender gaze almost overflowing from his eyes. What a beautiful moment, if that man weren't my fiancé. A logo on the wall in the photo revealed their location. I quickly changed my clothes, grabbed my phone, hailed a taxi, and arrived at this place that had been a nightmare in my past life. After a long hesitation, I pushed open the door. The private room instantly fell silent. My arrival had clearly made the atmosphere extremely awkward. The moment they saw my face, the two who had been dancing a slow dance instantly separated. Lena Davis covered her mouth, looking innocent and wronged as she gazed at me, as if she hadn't been the one to send me the photo and provoke me with messages. Michael Johnson frowned, his face full of irritation. "What are you doing here?" I smiled, not the heart-wrenching smile of my past life, but a genuine one. Looking at Michael's face, I finally truly felt that I was no longer that Emily Smith who had died of cancer, abandoned and gasping for breath. I lowered my head and laughed hoarsely, then began to cry, tears falling onto the expensive carpet and forming small watermarks. I looked up at the stunned Michael and said softly, "Michael, I'm so tired. Let me go, and I'll let you go." Michael's face tightened, he kicked the table hard, and everyone in the room held their breath. He shouted, "Emily, what stunt are you pulling now?" Perhaps in Michael's mind, I had always been a capricious woman. But I almost felt sorry for him, getting so angry on my account. What he didn't realize was that in the past, no matter how heartbroken I was, I had never mentioned breaking up. This time, it was different. This time, don't worry. With that, I turned and left, even politely closing the door behind me. From then on, the world inside that door would have nothing to do with me. It was an open secret in our social circle. I was Michael's hopelessly devoted admirer, and Lena was his unattainable first love. Years ago, Lena had broken up with Michael without warning to pursue her career. After searching frantically for her for 3 days and nights, Michael learned she had left the country, and he spiraled into depression. That was when I entered Michael's life. I drank with him when he drank, smoked with him when he smoked. Through countless acts of encouragement and care, he finally noticed me, the girl who had secretly admired him for 3 years, the girl too humble to matter. Michael was undeniably outstanding. In school, he had been the center of many girls' worlds, brilliant, athletic, and handsome. I was just a penniless orphan, adrift in the world. Our first meeting had been an accident. That day, I was cornered and harassed in an alley when Michael walked by in his white school uniform, looking like an angel in holy light. He stepped into the mud and saved me. In that moment, my heart raced as if struck by lightning. At the time, he and Lena were dating, the perfect couple. I never dared to dream of getting close until they broke up. Today, Michael and I had been together for exactly 5 years. He had confessed the night before my birthday, saying simply, "Emily, let's give this a try." I was so moved I could only nod eagerly. But that night, he had drunk heavily. As I helped him home and wiped his face, he leaned close and whispered hoarsely, "Lena, if I climb to the top, will you finally see me?" My hands froze, and I felt as if I'd been plunged into an ice cellar. Even then, I should have known I could never compete with Lena. But I was foolish enough to believe that sincerity could move mountains. I stayed by his side for 5 years, until Lena reappeared and shattered all my illusions. Back at the apartment, a place Michael had bought, I began packing. I couldn't stay here anymore. I didn't have much, just a suitcase of clothes and small items I'd bought, like the matching toothbrush cups and slippers from last year. I'd take mine and throw away his. He had spares, and he wouldn't care anyway. Over the years, Michael had given me many expensive gifts, jewelry picked out by his assistant, but I left them all behind. After packing, I cleaned the apartment one last time, erasing all traces of my existence, then prepared to leave gracefully. As I placed the house key on the entryway table, I spotted a sleek box on the shoe rack. It was the birthday gift I'd carefully prepared for Michael, an expensive watch that had cost me half a year's salary. After a moment's thought, I slipped it into my pocket. Michael was a CEO with endless wealth, but I was just an ordinary office worker. This watch was equivalent to a year's living expenses for me. I wouldn't pretend to be generous. Besides, he'd probably never even glance at a gift from me. He was a god among men, and I was just an ugly duckling struggling to make a life. No matter how hard I worked or how frugally I lived, I could never keep up with him. But it didn't matter anymore. If I couldn't catch up, I'd stop chasing. A simple, steady life without him would be better. No more worrying that he'd look down on my efforts, no more fearing Lena's return, no more living as pathetically as I had in my past life. In that life, fate had stolen everything from me, family, love, health, but it had given me a second chance at life. The universe must still favor me, so how could I waste this opportunity? I moved my luggage to my own small home, a cozy apartment under 1,000 square feet in an old residential complex. It wasn't luxurious, but it was mine, a testament to years of hard work and saving. When I bought it with my savings, Michael had disapproved. He dismissed the 5-story brick building as beneath him, tossing me a credit card and telling me to buy something respectable. But I'd refused, using my own money instead. I'd left the card in his nightstand drawer, untouched. At the time, I thought it was the only dignity I had left in his presence, the proof that I wasn't with him for his money. Everyone had said being with Michael was the luckiest thing to ever happen to me. But when they realized I never spent his money, they whispered that I was playing hard to get, that I was scheming for his inheritance. I wondered what they'd say now that we were done. I'd never known what Michael truly thought, he'd never shown it. He'd never even noticed the card in his nightstand. Now I understood, he simply hadn't cared. He didn't care if I spent his money or why I was with him. I'd cried and raged at him countless times, but he'd always been distant, his eyes always on work. Tonight, for the first time, he'd lost his composure because of me. Love and coughs can't be hidden, and neither can indifference. I just hadn't wanted to see it. It had been 2 days since I moved out of Michael's apartment, and I'd slept more soundly than ever. In my past life, I'd suffered from cancer, lying awake night after night in agony, alone in bed. Compared to that, this was pure happiness. I'd spent these 2 days making my small home warm and tidy, filling the fridge with my favorite snacks. Life was quiet and content. I even felt a little disdain for my past self. Why had I chosen to suffer when such a good life was possible? Though it was a past life, the painful memories lingered. It felt like a dream where I'd loved Michael with all my heart. I hadn't asked for much, just to be near him, to take care of him. But just when I thought we'd be together forever, Lena came back. I received their kissing photo and stormed into the VIP room, demanding to know why Lena had returned after abandoning him. Lena tearfully pretended to be hurt, and Michael, to protect her, threw me out. Michael didn't come home for 2 days. I learned he'd gone on a business trip with Lena to the same city, and then the media published photos of them entering a hotel together. I felt like a madwoman. When Michael returned, I pleaded with him to marry me, using my years of devotion as leverage. His eyes turned icy. Later, the media exposed Lena for drug use, and Michael worked tirelessly to clear her name. But all evidence pointed to me. Everyone suspected I'd colluded with the press to frame her. Without a word, Michael kicked me out and easily got me fired. In my depression, I collapsed on the street. A kind stranger took me to the hospital, where I woke to hear I had cancer. I jolted awake from the nightmare, gasping for air. The despair of that past life still clung to my heart. I took a moment to steady myself, then got up for a glass of water. As I passed the window, the curtain fluttered, and I saw a familiar figure downstairs, Michael. He leaned against his car, a cigarette between his fingers, the tip glowing faintly. The ground was littered with cigarette butts. He looked up suddenly. I couldn't hide in time, and our eyes met, silent, unflinching. We had to face this eventually. When I stepped out of the apartment building, Michael was still staring at the entrance. Seeing me, he flicked away his cigarette, straightened his suit, and stood tall, every inch the proud CEO. Can't you be more reasonable for once? How much longer will you keep this up? Michael spoke first, brow furrowed, voice laced with irritation. None of the cool elegance from the bar VIP room remained. The air was growing chilly, his breath misted as he spoke. Looking at him, I wondered, was I really reborn? Would I get cancer again in this life? But Michael cut through my thoughts, his tone still icy. Lena just got back. We were just catching up. Don't make a scene and embarrass everyone. I don't want you losing control in front of her again. Michael, save the apologies. I have plans tonight. Just move back home. He didn't even let me finish, so certain I'd cave. How deeply I must have loved him to give him such confidence. How foolish I'd been to waste a lifetime on this man. I pressed my hand against the car door, stopping him from opening it. He raised an eyebrow. Michael, I'm not making a scene. Let's break up. I looked straight into his eyes, firm, and saw the coldness there. I knew he was angry. Though I wanted to end things, I didn't want to burn bridges with someone I couldn't afford to offend. I'd realized we were from different worlds. In my past life, my obsession with what didn't belong to me had destroyed me. Michael, I know you're angry now, but it's just your pride hurting. Honestly, I'm breaking up with you because I can't keep up with you. I'm not as capable, and I'll never have your heart. I won't cling to you anymore, or meddle in your life. You should be happy. After all, Lena's back, this is only good for you. I thought this would soothe him, avoid conflict. But his expression darkened, almost menacing. He scoffed, voice like ice. You're right. I should call Lena and celebrate. Watching Michael's luxury car speed away, I knew we'd never cross paths again. It felt truly freeing. But thinking of my past life's health, I felt a pang of fear. I never wanted to endure that pain again. I went to the city hospital for a full-body checkup, including a urine test that required an early morning visit. After the test, I rushed to catch the bus to work, stuck in traffic. I made it just in time to punch the clock. As soon as I entered the office, the atmosphere felt off. My colleague David leaned in and whispered, "Emily, where have you been? The CEO came looking for you earlier, in a terrible mood. When he saw you weren't here, he told the director something and left. Brace yourself." I nodded. Thanks, David. So I'd still offended Michael. Taking a deep breath, I knocked on the director's door. Sure enough, he slid a resignation form across the desk, telling me to fill it out. I'd joined this finance company to connect with Michael, even though I hated the job. Now, facing dismissal, I felt a twinge of regret. After all, I'd worked hard here. Emily, be practical, the director said kindly. I value your work. If you've upset someone, apologize. Swallow your pride, it's better than losing your job. He didn't understand. I didn't want to compromise anymore. I just wanted a clean break. Thanks, but no need. I filled out the form amid his sighs, then returned to pack my things calmly. David silently helped, shielding me from smug glances. David had joined the company 6 months after me, a fast learner, polite, poised. If not for seeing him grind like the rest of us, everyone would have guessed he was a wealthy heir. We'd collaborated on projects, pulled all-nighters, faced difficult clients together. He'd shielded me from drunk clients at dinners. I'd bought him hangover pills. We were straightforward, hardworking, and in sync, achieving real results. Until a company banquet, when he'd confessed his feelings after a few drinks. I'd gently refused, and he'd brushed it off with a smile, truly a good man. I pulled out the watch I'd once planned to give Michael. Initially, I'd wanted to sell it for cash, but now I changed my mind. I decided to give it to David as a goodbye gift, to thank him for his support. Ms. Smith, this is too expensive. I meant to give this to someone I once cherished, but now I realize he doesn't deserve it. I want you to have it. I hope you find a wonderful girl who's right for you and live happily. David put on the watch, a flash of sadness crossing his face at my words. It suits you, I smiled. Just then, the CEO appeared at the office entrance, speaking politely to someone behind him. I stared in shock. It was Michael. I quickly packed my things and retreated to the corner, planning to leave after he passed. David, come greet Mr. Johnson. Yes, Mr. Johnson. This way, please. David stepped forward with a gesture, the watch on his wrist clearly visible. Michael's eyes narrowed. He suddenly grabbed David's wrist, surprising everyone, as if unaware of his actions. Nice watch, he said flatly. David glanced at me, then smiled. Thank you, sir. It's a gift from someone important to me. I love it. Michael released his hand, his face unchanged but his eyes darkening like an abyss. Back at home, I exhaled deeply, the tension in my body finally easing. I collapsed onto the sofa, exhausted. I'd suspected Michael was behind my resignation, but seeing him at the company confirmed it. Why else would a CEO of his status bother with a small firm like ours unless to oversee my downfall? He'd come to gloat, to wait for me to beg for mercy, to return to him just so he could discard me again for Lena, saying, "I did my best, you got what you deserved." But why should I let him? At work, Michael was ruthless and respected, but in private, he was as petulant as a child, hard to please. Once, shortly after we started dating, I'd gotten hooked on mystery novels, often reading late into the night and neglecting him. He'd stare at my books sourly for days. One day, I found every murderer's name in my novels circled in ink. I was furious, until he hugged me, burying his face in my neck, saying, "I'm sorry. I just wanted you to look at me." I'd mistaken his possessiveness for love, a sweet illusion that I was cherished. Now I realized I was just a ruined book, insignificant. In Michael's world, I had to be available on demand, regardless of my interests or mood. In my past life, he'd cost me my job for Lena. Now that I was letting go, he still wouldn't leave me alone. I'd been blind to how my obsession had warped me. Reborn, I saw clearly, and dreaded the thought of his interference. But more than that, I loathed my past self for losing all sense of self-worth. For years, I'd worked full-time while secretly writing mystery novels, building a loyal readership. One of my books had even been optioned for a TV adaptation, and I'd bought this apartment with the royalties. Michael had no idea. I knew he disliked my distractions, so I'd kept it hidden. Now, jobless and free of him, I could finally focus on what I loved. This life felt grounding, until I saw Michael and Lena at the supermarket. Michael had never accompanied me shopping, dismissing it as too crowded. But there he was, smiling as he pushed a cart, shielding Lena from the crowd, a tenderness I'd never seen. The supermarket was far from his villa. What were the odds? I thought I'd feel pain, but there was only numbness. Slightly annoying, but ultimately irrelevant. I'm glad, I thought. I finally don't love you anymore. I tried to walk away, but Lena called out to me. If I couldn't avoid this, I'd face it head on. "Fancy meeting you, Ms. Smith. Do you live nearby? Mike took the day off to shop with me, such a surprise to see you here." Mike, a nickname I'd never dared use, reserved solely for Lena. I'd been too afraid to utter it, terrified it would remind him of her. How foolish I'd been, believing a one-sided love could last. "Yes, I suppose Mr. Johnson only takes days off for Ms. Davis. I need to buy groceries. Enjoy your shopping." Lena's smile widened, barely hiding her triumph. Michael, though, stayed silent, staring at me, jaw tight. When he didn't speak, I turned to leave, only to feel a rough hand seize my arm, dragging me toward the exit. Behind us, Lena shouted, "Mike! Come back!" Michael's grip was brutal, leaving red marks on my skin. He half carried me to the parking lot. I struggled free. "Michael, what's wrong with you?" His eyes were bloodshot, voice gravelly. "Shouldn't I be asking you? You lost your job and still won't back down? Gave my gift to another man?" He was hysterical, I was calm. "Michael, we're done. This isn't a tantrum, I mean it. Because of Lena," he snapped. "No, not just her. We're from different worlds. I never should have clung to you. I was wrong. Just let me go, please." His face darkened, but I was growing impatient. How could I make him understand? They were already so close, why couldn't he let me move on? His hand trembled with rage, I pulled away. He bowed his head, face shadowed, like a wounded animal. After a long silence, he choked out, "You're serious about this?" "Yes," I said firmly. He stood still for what felt like an eternity, then turned and walked away. "We were never meant to be. Let's not see each other again," I called after him. He paused, voice raw. "You really are ruthless." After resigning, I had ample time to brainstorm and write. Each day was simple and fulfilling, ideas sprouting like spring bamboo after rain, my work growing more popular by the week. This was the first time in years I'd found such joy in my work, a life that satisfied me completely. Now that I'd found my direction, I feared more than ever that my past life might repeat. Thankfully, the medical results showed I had severe erosive gastritis, with a high risk of cancer but no active malignancy yet. I breathed a sigh of relief when I heard the diagnosis. The doctor frowned deeply. "Why are you so calm? You're young, but your stomach issues are already serious. Don't you know how dangerous this is? Gastritis is strongly linked to poor lifestyle habits. You must eat regularly from now on, understand?" I nodded vigorously. "Yes, doctor. I promise to follow your advice strictly." The doctor was right. My gastritis stemmed from my old habits. Back then, I'd often accompanied Michael to late-night business dinners, acting as his assistant and even drinking in his place when he was exhausted. Worried about his health, I'd cooked him nourishing meals and delivered stomach-soothing soups rain or shine, even consulting traditional Chinese medicine experts to learn herbal recipes. Looking back, I'd been so foolish, keeping Michael healthy while neglecting my own body, grabbing stale bread on the way to work, all just to delude myself into thinking I mattered. Now, without Michael, I could finally prioritize my well-being. With all my experience, I was confident I could take care of myself. Leaving the doctor's office, I spotted Lena around the hospital corridor corner, staring thoughtfully at a lab report, unaware of my presence. I watched her enter the exam room, then hesitated before following. The hallway bustled with people clutching test results, their faces a mix of worry and relief. No one noticed me. I cracked the door open slightly, holding my phone close to record the scene inside. "Lena," I thought. "In this life, I just want peace. If you and Michael leave me alone, I'll stay out of your business. Choose wisely." Glancing at the two figures leaning close together in the exam room, I silently pocketed my phone. Stepping into the sunlight, warm and golden, I took a deep breath. The universe had been kind. I opened the curtains as usual. With the cold weather, frost had formed on the windows, making the room feel cozier by contrast. Through the haze, I thought I saw someone waving from below. I wiped the glass with my sleeve and looked down, startled to meet a smiling face bathed in golden morning light. It was David. Shouldn't he be at work? Once, after a late-night client dinner when I couldn't reach Michael or hail a cab, David had insisted on driving me home. Since Michael and I hadn't gone public, I'd asked him to take me to this old apartment complex, so he knew the address. I nodded and mouthed, "Come up." His eyes lit up, and he disappeared into the building. Hearing his rapid footsteps on the stairs, I opened the door and waited. He appeared around the corner, slightly out of breath. "Why are you here? Aren't you working? The second floor is too low and unsafe. With your curtains drawn, anyone can see you moving around from outside." He stood before me, gazing intently. "Aren't you going to invite me in?" I stepped aside, gesturing him in. Today, David seemed different, his aura unlike the polite, reserved colleague from the office. He set down a bag of breakfast on the table. "Eat first. Skipping meals is bad for your stomach." I nodded, sitting at the table. "You still haven't answered my question." I worried he might have gotten into trouble because of me, feeling a twinge of guilt. Jobs were hard to come by these days. He pulled out a chair opposite me, eyes focused politely on my face. I resigned, voluntarily. "Don't overthink it." After a pause, he added, "Actually, I've known about your relationship with Michael for a while. I heard you broke up recently and came to confirm something." I understood immediately. Our relationship was real, and we did break up. "I just want to live alone now." I emphasized alone. He looked up, a stubborn glint in his eye. "I won't interfere. I just want you to know I can wait. If Michael bothers you, I can protect you." I frowned, about to refuse, but he stood abruptly, muttered a goodbye, and left, denying me a chance to speak. There was something odd about David today, from his words to his demeanor. Before I could ponder further, my phone dinged, a unknown number texted, "This is Lena. Let's meet." Some things can't be avoided. If so, face them head on. When I arrived at the cafe, Lena was already sitting in a private booth, sipping coffee elegantly. Her wavy hair cascaded over a camel-colored coat, and though the booth was curtained off, passers-by couldn't help glancing at the striking woman inside. I scanned the room, no cameras in the booth, just like in soap operas. Figures, no convenience for supporting characters like me. Fine, as long as this doesn't turn into a tacky drama. Emily, you're here. Lena greeted, waving me in. I nodded, sitting down. What did you want to discuss, Ms. Davis? Sorry to be direct, but Michael and I are done. I don't want any involvement with his circle, hope you understand. Lena, I thought, see my resolve to move on. Let's stay out of each other's lives. She stared, then scoffed. Emily, you're such a pretender. If you're so determined to leave, why leave a bank card behind? Hoping Michael will feel guilty and come back to you? Ah, she must have found the card I'd left in the nightstand. I didn't overthink it. I just wanted a clean break. And I did use his money for shared expenses these past years, so I'm not holier than thou. He owes me no guilt, so don't misinterpret this. Lena stirred her coffee, not bothering to meet my gaze. No. She smirked, eyes sharp with triumph. Shared years? You're still bragging? That card's with me now, he never saw it. Oh, and I found it in his bedroom. Guess what we were doing in there? Her words disgusted me. Though I'd never go back, that apartment had been my home. The thought of them together there made my skin crawl. Maybe I'd been wrong to retreat. Cowardice only invited more abuse, making me seem weak. Human nature, truly complicated. After resigning, I had ample time to brainstorm and write. Each day was simple and fulfilling, ideas sprouting like spring bamboo after rain, my work growing more popular by the week. This was the first time in years I'd found such joy in my work, a life that satisfied me completely. Now that I'd found my direction, I feared more than ever that my past life might repeat. Thankfully, the medical results showed I had severe erosive gastritis, with a high risk of cancer but no active malignancy yet. I breathed a sigh of relief when I heard the diagnosis. The doctor frowned deeply. Why are you so calm? You're young, but your stomach issues are already serious. Don't you know how dangerous this is? Gastritis is strongly linked to poor lifestyle habits. You must eat regularly from now on, understand? I nodded vigorously. Yes, doctor. I promise to follow your advice strictly. The doctor was right, my gastritis stemmed from my old habits. Back then, I'd often accompanied Michael to late-night business dinners, acting as his assistant and even drinking in his place when he was exhausted. Worried about his health, I'd cooked him nourishing meals and delivered stomach-soothing soups rain or shine, even consulting traditional Chinese medicine experts to learn herbal recipes. Looking back, I'd been so foolish, keeping Michael healthy while neglecting my own body, grabbing stale bread on the way to work, all just to delude myself into thinking I mattered. Now, without Michael, I could finally prioritize my well-being. With all my experience, I was confident I could take care of myself. Leaving the doctor's office, I spotted Lena around the hospital corridor corner, staring thoughtfully at a lab report, unaware of my presence. I watched her enter the exam room, then hesitated before following. The hallway bustled with people clutching test results, their faces a mix of worry and relief. No one noticed me. I cracked the door open slightly, holding my phone close to record the scene inside. Lena, I thought. In this life, I just want peace. If you and Michael leave me alone, I'll stay out of your business. Choose wisely. Glancing at the two figures leaning close together in the exam room, I silently pocketed my phone. Stepping into the sunlight, warm and golden, I took a deep breath. The universe had been kind. I opened the curtains as usual. With the cold weather, frost had formed on the windows, making the room feel cozier by contrast. Through the haze, I thought I saw someone waving from below. I wiped the glass with my sleeve and looked down, startled to meet a smiling face bathed in golden morning light. It was David. Shouldn't he be at work? Once, after a late-night client dinner when I couldn't reach Michael or hail a cab, David had insisted on driving me home. Since Michael and I hadn't gone public, I'd asked him to take me to this old apartment complex, so he knew the address. I nodded and mouthed, "Come up." His eyes lit up, and he disappeared into the building. Hearing his rapid footsteps on the stairs, I opened the door and waited. He appeared around the corner, slightly out of breath. "Why are you here? Aren't you working? The second floor is too low and unsafe. With your curtains drawn, anyone can see you moving around from outside." He stood before me, gazing intently. "Aren't you going to invite me in?" I stepped aside, gesturing him in. Today, David seemed different, his aura unlike the polite, reserved colleague from the office. He set down a bag of breakfast on the table. Eat first. Skipping meals is bad for your stomach. I nodded, sitting at the table. You still haven't answered my question. I worried he might have gotten into trouble because of me, feeling a twinge of guilt. Jobs were hard to come by these days. He pulled out a chair opposite me, eyes focused politely on my face. I resigned, voluntarily. Don't overthink it. After a pause, he added, actually, I've known about your relationship with Michael for a while. I heard you broke up recently and came to confirm something. I understood immediately. Our relationship was real, and we did break up. I just want to live alone now. I emphasized alone. He looked up, a stubborn glint in his eye. I won't interfere. I just want you to know I can wait. If Michael bothers you, I can protect you. I frowned, about to refuse, but he stood abruptly, muttered a goodbye, and left, denying me a chance to speak. There was something odd about David today, from his words to his demeanor. Before I could ponder further, my phone dinged, an unknown number texted, "This is Lena. Let's meet." Some things can't be avoided. If so, face them head on. When I arrived at the cafe, Lena was already sitting in a private booth, sipping coffee elegantly. Her wavy hair cascaded over a camel-colored coat, and though the booth was curtained off, passers-by couldn't help glancing at the striking woman inside. I scanned the room, no cameras in the booth, just like in soap operas. Figures, no convenience for supporting characters like me. Fine, as long as this doesn't turn into a tacky drama. Emily, you're here. Lena greeted, waving me in. I nodded, sitting down. What did you want to discuss, Ms. Davis? Sorry to be direct, but Michael and I are done. I don't want any involvement with his circle, hope you understand. Lena, I thought, see my resolve to move on. Let's stay out of each other's lives. She stared, then scoffed. Emily, you're such a pretender. If you're so determined to leave, why leave a bank card behind? Hoping Michael will feel guilty and come back to you? Ah, she must have found the card I'd left in the nightstand. I didn't overthink it. I just wanted a clean break. And I did use his money for shared expenses these past years, so I'm not holier than thou. He owes me no guilt, so don't misinterpret this. Lena stirred her coffee, not bothering to meet my gaze. No. She smirked, eyes sharp with triumph. Shared years? You're still bragging? That card's with me now, he never saw it. Oh, and I found it in his bedroom. Guess what we were doing in there? Her words disgusted me. Though I'd never go back, that apartment had been my home. The thought of them together there made my skin crawl. Maybe I'd been wrong to retreat. Cowardice only invited more abuse, making me seem weak. Human nature, truly complicated. Lena's aim was clearly to provoke me into a reaction, but I felt nothing. In my past life, her words might have driven me to throw coffee in her face, but now I just felt bored and drained. Wait, throw coffee? Was this turning into a cliché drama? I suddenly guessed where this was heading. I sipped my coffee calmly, smiling at her though my voice was cold. Then guess why Michael never went abroad to find you all these years? This hit a nerve. Lena's smirk vanished, her face darkening. Then she smiled eerily and, in a flash, poured her coffee over herself. In seconds, the elegant beauty looked like a drenched cat. I'd suspected Lena had framed me in my past life, but this time I'd vowed to start fresh, don't want to bother about it. Yet here she was, repeating the same shoddy setup. I glanced toward the door, sure enough, a familiar figure hurried over. Perfect, right on cue. Michael strode in, freezing at the scene. Lena's tears fell freely, her lower lip quivering, impossible not to pity her. Mike, I did this to myself. It's not Emily's fault, she sniffled. Michael paused but moved to shield Lena, though his gaze toward me lacked the icy hatred of our past life, replaced by something like relief. His words, however, held no trust. This is too much. Our issues shouldn't involve Lena. He probably thought I was still obsessed with him, taking out my jealousy on Lena. No wonder Lena had used a burner phone, with no evidence, Michael would never believe me. But they overestimated my attachment. I stayed seated, waiting for the room to quiet. Then I cleared my throat. Mr. Johnson, you should believe what Ms. Davis said. I hit play on my phone's recording. Lena went pale as her voice echoed from the speaker. No cameras in the booth, but I'd brought my phone, and Lena hadn't expected I'd preemptively recorded her. Michael stared at me, shock replacing his earlier relief. He'd never guessed the innocent Lena had such a calculating side. Hiding behind Michael, Lena tugged at his sleeve, voice trembling. Mike, I was just scared of losing you. Uncharacteristically, Michael didn't soften. He pulled his sleeve from her grasp, glancing at her coldly. Lena froze, eyes wide with disbelief. He turned to me. I'm sore. I stood, cutting him off. If that's all, I'll go. Save the apologies. Just leave me alone, and this recording stays private. Michael swallowed, face pale. Was it my imagination, or did his eyes look red? He dropped his gaze, voice low. Why didn't you use the card? Michael, you never truly knew me. Your heart's always been with Lena. Please sort out your relationship, for good. Just leave me be. But, without you, home feels empty. Lena swayed, her face turning ashen. A pang hit me, this line, in my past life. No. I shook my head. Even then, I wouldn't have wanted him back. I turned to leave, but Michael caught my sleeve, silent but insistent. What, is Mr. Johnson resorting to petty tricks now? Benjamin's voice cut in. He entered in a tailored suit, roughly pulling Michael's hand from my arm and stepping between us. Michael spun, eyes blazing. Benjamin David? The David family's second son, the finance prodigy? What's your game, pretending to be her colleague? I'd sensed Benjamin was different, but his true identity still shocked me. Benjamin scoffed, then turned to me, serious. My game is simple, pursuing what I want. Just then, the cafe TV blared. Benjamin David, heir to the David conglomerate, returns to assume leadership. The rest faded into white noise. This life's changes had unraveled too many secrets from my past. One thought lingered, maybe my humble apartment was too accessible, making me easy prey for those in power. Outside the cafe, Benjamin and I walked in silence to my building. He finally spoke, urgent. I didn't mean to deceive you. When I returned from abroad, I wanted to experience the local finance scene, so I joined a firm. You were the best part of that experience. I meant it when I said I can protect you, let me be part of your life, please. His tone was pleading, almost panicked. His eyes searched mine, hands fidgeting at his sides. Sorry, maybe I'm rushing. I just saw, in the cafe, I thought you might still care for him. I shook my head. No. You're new to this role, focus on your career first. Relief washed over him. Okay. I can wait. Home at last, I shut the door, exhaustion crashing over me. My stomach ached hollowly, a dull throb like a wire piercing through. I forced myself to make a simple batch of stomach-nourishing congee. After eating, the pain eased. I collapsed into bed, letting the soft sheets absorb the day's stress. I'd thought I could manage on my own, but one crisis after another, hardly ideal for healing. First Michael, now Benjamin, both powerful men. Was this luck or a curse? And if Michael was from a different world, was Benjamin really any closer to mine? Benjamin's accidental discovery of my relationship, his timely appearance at the cafe, no coincidence. He'd investigated me, blatant and unapologetic, like any entitled heir. Sighing, I grabbed my phone and dialed 2 numbers, a real estate agent and my university professor, now my editor. After making arrangements, I relaxed, finally drifting into a deep sleep. I was woken by my phone ringing. It was already 10 a.m. I picked up and saw Michael on the screen. Answering, I heard his voice, You finally picked up. I checked, several missed calls. I must have been out cold. What do you want, Michael? He hesitated. About yesterday. I'm sorry. Lena knows she was wrong, she just panicked. I'd never expected this to change Michael's view of Lena, nor did I want to waste time. Get to the point. He paused, sensing my irritation. Could you delete the recording from yesterday? I scoffed. Thank God I'd stopped hoping for anything from him. Then Lena's weepy voice came on, Emily, I'm so sorry. I love Mike so much I got jealous, please forgive me? Fine. Come over now. The crying cut off abruptly, like a goose being choked. I hung up, got dressed, and had a proper breakfast. Downstairs, Michael and Lena were already waiting. I pulled out my phone, deleted the recording in front of them, and showed them the empty folder. No backups. I keep my word. You can go. Michael rushed to explain, that's not. I didn't respond. He turned to Lena, Lena, go first. I need to talk to M. From today, we're just friends, nothing more. Lena teared up but left, defeated by Michael's resolve. Michael looked haggard, throat bobbing. They say the ungotten and the lost are most precious. It's true. After you left, I thought life would be the same, or better. Lena's back, so she can see how successful I am. But everything feels off without you. No more congee, no more waiting on the couch, no more hugs when I'm down. It's all empty. Lena can do those things, anyone can, but if it's not you, I can't be happy. I realize now you're part of me. I thought you'd come back after a tantrum, but I get it now, you're serious. I know you can't forgive me yet. But I can wait. Let me court you again, please? His eyes were bloodshot, voice sincere. But I didn't care anymore. He'd groveled for the recording and now begged for a second chance. He still didn't see Lena, or us, clearly. Michael, I'm tired. Just go. He stood his ground, staring stubbornly. I massaged my temple. If you want me to hate you less, leave. Now. He stiffened, stared deeply, then turned and walked away. Since Benjamin revealed his identity, he'd stopped hiding. Every day, he'd deliver breakfast without fail. If I slept in, he'd be waiting at the door, barging in to supervise me eating before heading to work. No use refusing, I let it be. Michael hadn't reappeared, but his texts pleaded for another chance. Rumor had it Benjamin and Michael were competing for a project, with the Davids currently ahead. Michael was stretched thin, fighting to keep up. Thankfully, it meant peace for me. I focused on my health and writing, contacting Agent Wang again to hurry the sale of my apartment. Luckily, the location wasn't too bad, and a buyer was interested. Wang worked fast. The buyer liked the place, offered a fair price, and we set a date to sign the contract. After seeing Wang off, a black sedan blocked my path on the way home. I stopped, already guessing who it was. The window rolled down, revealing a polished middle-aged woman's face. She smiled warmly. Ms. Smith, may we talk? I smiled back. Of course. Stepping out of the upscale private room, the wind felt icy, cutting to the bone. I replayed our conversation. Benjamin's mother, polite, refined, but her message was clear, she disapproved. She'd placed a bank card on the table. Ms. Smith, this is for you. I hope you understand. I pushed it back. Let me tell you my terms. The negotiation ended in mutual satisfaction, especially when I mentioned selling my apartment. Her eyes lit with approval. I'd thought the meeting was secret, but at my door stood two figures. Benjamin and Michael, one on each side of the hallway, both rushing to me. They spoke in unison, are you okay? My gaze swept over them. Benjamin avoided eye contact, panicked. Michael looked thinner, his concern for me warring with hostility toward Benjamin. Benjamin blurted, I'm sorry. I didn't know my mom would approach you. Did she upset you? Michael sneered. Mr. David, if you don't back off, there'll be more upsets. I hear your cousin is competing for your inheritance. Wonder if you'd choose M or power. Benjamin flinched but turned to me, pleading, just wait for me. I saw the truth in his silence. Walking to Michael, I took his hand and faced Benjamin. Benjamin, I'm sorry. I believe you'll meet someone better. Michael squeezed my hand, stepping partly in front of me. Benjamin stared at our joined hands, pain in his eyes too raw to bear. Only when Benjamin stumbled away, defeated, did I finally exhale. He'd asked me to wait, but he didn't understand. I no longer had the stomach for gambling. I'd rather have peace than risk everything on the hope that he'd offer me a place in his life. When I turned, Michael was still holding my hand, his gaze fixed on me. Let go, I said flatly. I tugged free, and his grip slackened. I know you used me just now, but I can't help wishing this was real. That there's still a reason for you to need me, even if it's just to keep me close. I'm begging you, come back to me. Michael had always been proud. If anyone saw him pleading like this, they'd think they were hallucinating. I tested him. Fine. Make Lena disappear, completely vanish from our lives. Send her back where she came from. Michael froze, struggling to speak. Can you give me time to think? After that showdown, I'd assumed Benjamin would focus on his career and Michael would choose Lena, leaving me in peace. But reality diverged sharply. Benjamin stopped appearing in person but bombarded me with calls and texts. I know you're not back with Michael, he'd say. Just wait, I'll fix everything. Then, overnight, front page news announced Benjamin's engagement to a Brown family heiress. I felt only relief, grateful my head had won over my heart. Benjamin stood beneath my window all night after the news, calling and texting that it was temporary, but I stayed inside. Meanwhile, my mentor messaged, "Your visa's ready, leave anytime. Check the news, you might need to respond." The headline blared, "Socialite Lena Davis accused of scandal, framing suspected." Accompanying photos showed my profile and back as I picked up medicine at the hospital, recognizable to anyone who knew me. I knew it was coming. Michael's call followed immediately, his voice dripping with disappointment. Lena's falling apart. I know you two have issues, but this is too far. Would you believe me if I said I didn't do it? I get that you dislike her, but this is vicious. The doctor confessed you paid him to falsify her results and leak them. I'm the only reason you're not ruined right now. Vicious. The second time he'd used that word for me. I hung up and dialed Mrs. David. I have something you'll want, Mrs. David. Let's name a price this time. I sent Mrs. David 2 videos, one of Lena bribing a doctor to hide her drug use, another of Lena and Michael shopping together, laughing intimately. With the Davids' influence, the videos went viral, crashing news and finance platforms. Lena Davis drug scandal confirmed, CEO Michael Johnson implicated. Homewrecker exposed, mistress frames fiancé. The internet tore Lena apart, and she was ruined. Michael hired PR teams to distance himself, but he lost the project, a total defeat to the Davids. My mentor and I set a departure date, 1 week to leave the country. My phone dinged, yen 2,000,000 transferred. Payment for the videos. I texted simply, thanks. Mrs. David called immediately. Ms. Smith, you asked me to keep your whereabouts secret. Ready for me to fulfill that promise? Yes. I've sold the apartment and leave soon. Please ensure no one knows where I'm going. She chuckled. Honestly, I like you. You'd make a good Mrs. David. Won't you reconsider? I shook my head. Please apologize to Benjamin for me. She sighed and hung up. I felt lighter than I had in years. The week flew by. Michael obsessed over finding me, but Mrs. David's team shielded me. My phone suffered, non-stop calls, texts, even QQ messages from Michael, his voice hoarse with apologies. I'd have changed my number already if not for pending paperwork. He'd never suspect I was leaving the country, erasing every trace of our past. At the airport, a final WeChat popped up, "I'll wait for you." I stared at the message, held my finger on it, and tapped delete. Then I removed the SIM card, replacing it with a new one. Goodbye, Benjamin. Goodbye, past.